Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Prapta Sakalyana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanandam Prapta Sakalyana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Vande Guru Shri Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Mahaprabhu ki Tana Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasura Sena Mahaprabhu Tana Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasura Sena Romanchakam Pasru Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanara Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shringaratanama Dirama Janado Shri Vigrahara Nana Juktasya Bhaktamsya Niyunjatapi Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Swatana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangha Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Swatana Triptan Kritvaiva Tripte Bhajata Shariva Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Shiradikama Gavayara Para Madhura Leela Guna Rupanamna Shirarika Madhura Leela Guna Rupana Pratikshana Swa Dhanalalupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Ne kunjayuno rati keli sidhyai jayali ver joktir apekshaneya kunjayuno rati keli sidhyai joktir apekshaneya tatra te dakya Ativalabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Satyadharitena Shamasta Shastri Ruktastathava Vyataiva Sadvi Sakyadharitena Shastri Kintu Pravorja Priya Eva Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutapi Yasya Prasada Sada Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutapi Jayam Stuvam Tasya Yasa Trinsandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Jayam Stuvam Yasa Trinsandhyam Jayam Stuvam Tasya Yasa Trinsandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Yasa Trinsandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitina Mine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Pachatari Shatarine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Nirvishesha Shunavadi Pachatari Shatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Hari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shivasari Gaura. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hariyaraye Nama Krishna Jadavaye Nama, Jadavaye Madhavaya Kesavaye Nama, Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan, Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan, Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita, Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhattaraguna, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Shri Radha Nila Madhav, Radha Nila Madhav, Radhe. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra. Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Nittai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nittai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nittai Gaura Pramanandi Haribo. Jai Vishnu Par Paramansa Prabha Jakacharya Sutra Sarasi Shrimat Divan Ke Samvachar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada की जय। इस्कॉन प्रतिष्ठा विविधि संस्थापक आचार्य वैष्णव शिरोमणि परित पावन श्रील प्रभुपाद जी महाराज की जय। श्री गौरी गुरुवर्ग पतित उद्धार की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास गुण सतगोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर जी की जय। जयनंत कुट वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवसरि गौर भक्तविंद की जय। जय परम दयाल से नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। प्रेम नाम संकीर्तन के जनक प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सचिनंदन गुरु चैतन्य महाप्रभु गौर हरि मावरण अवतार की जय। गोलोकेर प्रमधान हरि नाम संकीर्तन जग की जय। जुग धर्म हरि कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। बृहत् नितांग ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेवा की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप राधा कुंज श्याम कुंज गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। श्री ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। जलोश विशिष्ट राधा नील माधव की जय। श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप एक चक्रधाम की जय। परम करुण श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय। भक्ति सर्व विघ्न विनाशन कर सिंहरे भगवान की जय। जगंगा माय जमुना माय की जय। तुलसी महारानी वृंदी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमती राधा रानी की जय। समवेत भक्तबिंद की जय। निताय गौर हरि परमानंदे हरि बोल। All glories to the assembly bodies, all glories to the assembly bodies, all glories to the assembly bodies, all glories, glories to Shri Guru Shri Gaura.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Lad Daine. हिरण्यकाशी पूर्वसः शिलटङ्कानकालये इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बाहे नरसिंहा हृदय नरसिंहा नरसिंहं दिं शरणं प्रपदे तव कर कमल वरे नकाम अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनु भृंगा केशवधीरता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमल रे जगा कलवरे जगा अद्भुत श्रृंगार लिता हिरण्यकशिपु केशवधीरता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जगदीश जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय गुरुदेव 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 बोल नरसिंह भगवान की जय भक्त प्रहलाद की जय गुरुदेव महाराज की जय।
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः राधा कृष्ण सेवा भावो ए अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी ये तुम्हारा शरण लो तारा वंशा पूर्ण हो कृपा कोरि कोरो थारे वृंदावन भासी मोरा ए अभिलाष विलास कुंजे दियो वास Krishna dase khoi ye namora hoy Shri Radha Govinda preme sada ye nabhasi Shri Radha Govinda preme sada ye nabhasi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Namaha Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyari kani cha Tani tani pranakshanti Pradakshina pare pare Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyari kani cha Tani tani pranakshanti Pradakshina pare pare Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyari kani cha Tani tani pranakshanti Pradakshina pare pare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tusi Maharani, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Tusi Maharani, Jaya Vrinda Devi. Jaya Tusi Maharani, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Tusi Maharani, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
Vrindayai Tulasivai Priyayai Kesavasana Vishnu Bhakti Prarire Shatabhaktaye Vrindayai Tulasivai Priyayai Kesavasana Vishnu Bhakti Prarire Shatabhaktaye Jai Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrindadevi ki Jai. Oh, Tulasi,
Beloved of
love Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has wishes fulfilled. Stay your myself from him, you make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also give me a residence in pleasure groves of Shri Vrindavan Dham. Thus within my vision of all the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me and follow with evidence and suffrage. Please give me the privilege of the peace and make me your own maidservant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna praise. May I always sing in love Shri Radha and Govinda. Jai Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrindadevi ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Khastakam ki jai. Chito Darpanam Odavanvapanam Shri Akari Vachandika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandamudivardhanam Priparam Purnamrita Shradanam Sarvatmasnam Param Param Jayati Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Vamha Nida Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Shmarna Kala Itadushi Tabakripaya Bhagavan Mamapi Durdhaivam Idishamiyajani Nanuragaha Trinarapi Sunichena Tarorapi Saishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kubitam Vaja Garishakamaye Mama Janmane Janmanishwari Bhavatar Bhakti Rahaitu Kitvai Oinanda Tanuja Kinkaram Paritamam Vishame Bhavam Budau Kripaya Tabapar Pankaja Stitaduri Sadrisham Vichintaya Nayanam Galora Shrudharya Vatanam Gadagata Hridaya Gira Pulakai Richitam Vapukara Tavanama Grahane Bhavisati Juga Itam Nimishena Chakrusha Pravisa Itam Sunya Itam Jagatsaha Asilishava Padaratam Pinastumam Adarshanar Marmahatam Karotuva Chatathava Vidadatulam Pato Matpranatastu Saivana Para Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Khastakam ki jai. Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurati Namaha. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it sprays the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govind. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by holy names. But I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself a Lord and stroll in the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause that devotes on service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yes, some or other I have fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please bring me out from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at the Lord's feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? When will the hairs of my body stand on end to the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he should remain so, even if enters me rightfully by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sri Kyastakam Ki Jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. To blaspheme, the devotees who dedicate their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names that demigods are Lord Shiva or Brahman to be equal to or independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literatures or literatures and pursuits of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. Give some interpretation of the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which often Vedas as fruitive activity karma kanda. 9.
To instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
And 10.
To not have complete faith in chanting the holy names, and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many
instructions in this matter. It also an offense to be inattentive while chanting.
Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard
against
against
10
these
offenses
10
in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema.
Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord. They are just like desired trees that can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vancha kalpa tarabhischa, kripa sindhu bhyevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha vaishnava thakur ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Mani Pachani Devi Sesha Sanmari Paskati. Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai. Om Aganya Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Miritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Pajikamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Ragunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Saidvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakha Vitam Sa Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pucharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tidamine Shri Vasavanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhur Ujjvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shimurtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Abhasiddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Shakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambhade Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachitanandanamine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Vir Baba Bhumestvam Nirdesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhuma Sri Jaganataya Te Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Premapadayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gurachuse Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakam Namami Bhakta Saktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Surator Pangor Mama Manda Matergati Matsarva Swapadambujo Radha Madana Mohano Divyadvindaranya Kalpajumadaha Shimad Ratnagara Simasanastito Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prastadi Bihi Sevyamano Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasaran Bivam Sivata Tatastita Karsan Venuswaner Gopir Gopinatak Striyestuna Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai. Shri Brahma Samiti ki jai. Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadi Radhi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksa Vrite Susurabhi Rabhipali Antam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambhrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kwanand Madhavinda Dalayataksham Barhavatam Samasitan Buddhasundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Sobham Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kalasadvanamalya Vamsi Ratnam Gadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Shyamam Tribangalalitani Yata Prakasam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vede Sadurlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastukoti Satavatsada Sampragam Yovayo Ratapi Manasobunim Gamanam Sobhyasti Yat Prapadasimya Vichintya Tatve Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sora Chayatum Jagadanda Koti Chakti Rasti Jagadanda Chayaya Danta Danta Rasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Bhava Bhavita Dio Manajasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Busaha Suktarya Mevinigama Pratitaistuvanti Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasapati Bhavita Tabirya Evani Charupa Tayakalabi Goloka Evani Visata Kilatma Bhuto Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksadeva Yudesu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundarama Chinta Gunaswarupam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Sukalani Menatistan Nanavatara Makarod Bhuvane Sukintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramam Pumamyo Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagaranda Kotim Jas Krist Kotis Vasesha Vasudati Vibhuti Benam Tad Brahma Niskalamanantam Asesa Bhutam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Mayahi Yasya Jagaranda Satani Sute Traigunya Tad Visayaveda Vitayamanam Sadvavulambi Parasatvam Visuddha Sattvam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Mataya Manasuya Praninam Pratifalam Smarat Tamupetya Lilaya Tena Bhuvanani Jaya Jasram Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Goloka Namni Nichitamni Tale Chitasya Devi Mahesu Haritamasu Tesu Tesu Te Te Prabhavani Jaya Vihitasya Yena Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Sristista Te Palaya Sada Vasakti Reka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Ichana Rupam Apiyasya Chichesta Tesa Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shiram Yata Dadi Vikara Visesa Yoga Sanjayate Nahitata Pritakasti Hetu Yasam Bhutam Apitata Samapaitikar Yat Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Departure Hita Santanam Abhyapetya Dipayate Vivite Hetu Samana Dharma Yastadra Geva Hicha Vishnu Taya Vibhati Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yakarna Narna Vajale Bhajatisma Yoga Nidram Ananta Jagananda Saroma Kuba Adhara Saktim Avalambya Param Swamurtim Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasyaika Nisvasita Kalamata Avalambya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagananda Nata Vishnur Mahansa Yasya Kalavi Seso Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Basmanya Tasma Sakilesu Nijesu Teja Sriyam Kiyat Prakatayat Apitad Vadatra Brahmaya Esa Jagadanda Vidanu Karta Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Pada Palava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha Dvande Pranama Samayesa Ganadi Raja Vignan Vihantam Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Agnir Mahika Ganamambu Marudisascha Kalasta Tatma Manasiti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Visanti Yamcha Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yaschak Suresa Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rasesa Teja Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakro Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmo Tapapa Nichaya Srutayastapamsi Brahma Dikita Patagava Tahyasta Jivaha Yadata Matra Vipabha Bhakata Prabhava Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yastrindra Gopa Matavendra Mahosva Karma Bandana Rupa Falapa Janamata Noti Karmani Nirdahati Kintu Chabakti Bhajam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yam Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Bitti Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaura Vasevya Bhavai Sanchintya Tasya Sadrasim Tanamapurete Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataravo Drumabu Mischintama Niganama Itoyam Amritam Kataganam Nadyam Gamanam Apivam Sipriya Saki Chidanandam Jyotipuram Apitad Aswadyam Apicha Sayatra Siradi Bhisavadi Sirabi Byasta Sumahan Nimeda Sarkyo Nime Sardakyo Vavrajati Nahiyatripi Samaya Bhaje Svitadvipam Tamaham Ihagolakamitiyam Vidantas Tesan Takshiti Virala Charakati Paye Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Shri Brahma Samhita Ki Shri Guru Vastika prayers Ki The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it. So the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I, for my respectful basis unto the lotus feet, is such a spiritual master who is an ocean of auspicious qualities. Chanting the holy names, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments, the spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he's relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind. Sometimes his hair stands on end, he feels quivering in his body, and tears flow from his eyes like waves. However, my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet is such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Shri Radha and Krishna. He also engages his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. I, for my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzes that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasada, he is satisfied. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika and Madhava and their qualities, names, and forms. The spiritual spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is very dear because he is expert at assisting the gopis who at different times make different tastes or arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavana. I offer my most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Sri Hare Krishna. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master. At least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, his divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, verse number 44. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ajasya Janmot Patanasanaya. Karmanya Kartur Grahanaya Pumsam. Nanvanyatako Rahati Deha Yogam. Paro Gunanam Utakarma Tantram. Ajasya, of the unborn. Janma, appearance. Utpata Nasanaya, for the sake of annihilating the upstarts. Karmani, works. Akartu, of the one who has nothing to do. Grahanaya, to take up. Pumsam, of all persons. Nanu anyata, otherwise. Ka, who. Arhati, may deserve. Deha yogam, contact of the body. Para, transcendental. Gunanam, of the 3 modes of nature. Uta, what to speak of. Karma tantram, the law of action and reaction. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha, Brahma Samhita 5.1. The form of the Lord is eternal, blissful, and all-knowing. His so-called birth is therefore an appearance only, like the birth of the sun on the horizon. His birth does not, like that of the living entities, take place under the influence of material nature and the bondage of the reactions of past deeds. His works and activities are independent pastimes and are not subject to the reactions of material nature. In Bhagavad Gita 4.14, it is stated, Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phale spriha, itimam yog vijananti, karma vir nasabodhyate. The law of karma enacted by the Supreme Lord for the living entities cannot be applicable to him, nor has the Lord any desire to improve himself by activities like those of ordinary living beings. Ordinary living beings work for the improvement of their conditional lives. But the Lord is already full of all opulence, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Why should he desire improvement? No one can excel him in any experience, and therefore the desire for improvement is absolutely useless for him. one should always discriminate between the activities of the Lord and those of ordinary living beings. Thus, one may come to the right conclusion regarding the Lord's transcendental position. One who can come to the conclusion of the Lord's transcendence can become a devotee of the Lord and can at once be free from all reactions of past deeds. It is said, Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. The Lord minimizes or nullifies the reactionary influence of the devotee's past deeds. Brahma Samhita 5.54. The activities of the Lord are to be accepted and relished by all living entities. His activities are to attract the ordinary man towards the Lord. The Lord always acts in favor of the devotees, and therefore ordinary men who are fruitive actors or seekers of salvation may be attracted to the Lord when he acts as a protector of the devotee. The fruitive actions can attain their goals by devotional service, and the salvationists can also attain their goal in life by devotional service to the Lord. The devotees do not want the fruitive results of their work, nor do they want any kind of salvation. They relish the glorious superhuman activities of the Lord, such as his lifting Govardhan Hill and his killing of the demon Putana. In infancy, his activities are enacted to attract all kinds of men, karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas, because he is transcendental to all laws of karma. There is no possibility of his accepting a form of Maya as is forced on the ordinary living entities who are bound by the actions and reactions of their own deeds. The secondary purpose of his appearance is to annihilate the upstart asuras and to stop the nonsense of atheistic propaganda by less intelligent persons. By the Lord's causeless mercy, the asuras who are killed personally by the personality of Godhead get salvation. The meaningful appearance of the Lord is always distinct from ordinary birth. Even the pure devotees have no connection with the material body, and certainly the Lord, who appears as he is in his Satchitananda form, is not limited by a material form. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Despite his being the Lord and being always willing to relieve the distress of sufferers, he, Krishna, refrained from killing the Kurus, although they committed all sorts. I'm sorry, wait a minute. I went too many pages backward. The appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? Now, this is a continuation of the real theme of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is to learn all the unique qualities of Krishna that no one else can emulate. And Prabhupada is, Sukadeva Goswami and Sutta Goswami are doing it in a very, let's say, profound way. And they're giving more and more information about the uniqueness of Krishna, and such that no one can be equal to him, no one can be greater than him. Everyone, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Surya, and Indra, they're all subordinate to him. Very, very subordinate. Therefore, Krishna has an unchallenged position as the original creator of everything, maintainer, and destroyer. Everything's happening by his will. So when a devotee understands this, then a devotee becomes confident about his stay in the material world. Confident in the sense that knowing the all-powerful position of Krishna, the devotee has no worries, knowing that Krishna will always protect him. Therefore, as long as the devotee continues in devotional service without any selfish motive. Now, there's three categories of people engaged in some spiritual activities, but who still have selfish desires. One is the fruitive worker who wants to enjoy the fruit of his labor. So therefore, whatever he does, he wants to get something back for it. Then there's the empiric philosophers. Empiric means people who only believe what they can see with their senses or perceive with their senses. And the jnanis, they are attempting to get liberated into the Brahmajyoti. And then the mystic yogis are attempting to get material perfection by developing very powerful mystic powers that they're given to them by Krishna. So those three categories of people who are engaged in some kind of spiritual activity are disqualified from becoming pure devotees. They're disqualified because they still have strong material desires. It's only the pure devotee who has no material desires, but has many, many desires to please Krishna. Only the pure devotee actually gets protection by Krishna. Now, everyone gets maintenance by Krishna. Even the demons are maintained by Krishna. But not everyone has the personal protection of Krishna. It's only the unalloyed devotees that do. And Prabhupada explains a lot about these points in this verse and also in the second canto, where it says, second canto, 6th chapter, verse 40 and 41. The personality of God is pure, being free from all contaminations of material tinges. He is the absolute truth and the embodiment of full and perfect knowledge. He is all-pervading, without beginning or end, and without rival. O Narada, O great sage, the great thinkers can know him when completely freed of all material hankerings. Hankerings means desires that you have that are persistent. A hankering is something you're always thinking about, right? So someone might always be thinking, I got to get married, I got to get married. Someone else is always thinking, I got to make more money, I got to make more money. Someone else is thinking, I'm not getting enough sense gratification, I got to get more sense gratification. So they have these type of thoughts that keep lingering in the mind. So that's like a hankering, right? They're always begging for it or militating for it, or in one way or other dwelling on that thought. So that's a hankering. It's a strong feeling for something material. So as long as, so what is the symptom of the great thinkers? The great thinkers can know Krishna when completely freed from all material hankerings and when sheltered under undisturbed conditions of the senses. So by keeping the senses always engaged in devotional service, by being free of all material hankerings, one becomes a pure devotee, gets the protection of Krishna, is no longer influenced by the modes of material nature, and actually experiences ecstatic feelings for Krishna always. And then it says, otherwise, by untenable arguments, all is distorted and the Lord disappears from our sight. So untenable. Untenable means it has no substance to it, right? Tenable means, something you can hold on to. But all the speculations of the empiric philosophers has no real substance to it. Just like someone says we come from monkeys. There's no substance to that. There's no proof of it. There's no example of it, right? Or someone said, well, everything started by a Big Bang. There's no proof of that. It's just a theory, and it's not even a good theory. So, therefore, it's untenable. Once you look that word up, untenable, untenable. Is another way of saying it. It has no locus standi. It's a Latin term, locus standi.
Not able to be maintained or defended against any attack or objection.
Yeah, you can't defend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's untenable. Doesn't have. Look up locus standi, Locustandi. There's a Latin term, meaning it has no secure position. It's tottering all the time. It's not solid. You know, it's on the verge of collapsing at any moment.
Locus standi, Maharaj?
Yes, I said standi. It's standi. Yeah, go ahead.
This is
Locustandi.
the right to be heard.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Okay.
Standing or locus standing is a
What?
condition that the parties.
What?
Yeah.
What's it say?
Standing, there is
I think it's
the
more
meaning of
legal
locus
term
standi
in
is
this
the
case.
right to appear in a court or before anybody on a given question. A right to be heard.
Yes. So that means that you have something valid to say.
Mhm.
So it would be the opposite of untenable. You don't have any solid ground to stand on, right? Whereas locus standi, you have a solid position and you should be heard, right? Okay, so in the purport to this 2.6.40.41, Prabhupada says, here is an estimation of the Lord apart from his transcendental activities in the temporary material creations. Okay, so an estimation is something you can calculate or you can figure out, right? So here is an estimation of the Lord apart from his transcendental activities in the temporary material creation. So it's talking about the verse where it says, the Lord is pure, being free of all contaminations and material tinges. He is the absolute truth and the embodiment of full and perfect knowledge. He is all-pervading, without beginning or end, and without rival. O Narada, O great sage, the great thinkers can know him when completely freed from all material hankerings and when sheltered under undisturbed conditions of the senses. Otherwise, by untenable arguments, all is distorted and the Lord disappears from our sight. Wow. So here is an estimation of the Lord apart from his transcendental activities in the temporary material creations. So apart from the fact that he can lift Govardhan Hill, apart from the fact that he expands himself infinitely, apart from the fact that because of him the Pandavas won the battle of Kurukshetra, because, so apart from all those things, there are these other unique qualities of the Lord, such as he is the absolute truth. No one else can claim that, right? And he is all-pervading, and he is the embodiment of full and perfect knowledge. So, okay, so now it says, Mayavada philosophy tries to designate the Lord as contaminated by a material body. Whoa, this is really mean. It's a completely false statement. This sort of interpolation, now look that word up, it's a very good word. Interpolation means you add something that is different than what you're talking about, right? So the Mayavadis are adding things that are different. What is the truth about Krishna? So the truth about Krishna is he has a spiritual body. It's not a material body. They say, oh no, he's got a material body. You see? So that's an interpolation. You add something that has nothing to do with the real nature of the thing, right? This is a good word. What does it say?
The
Go ahead.
the insertion of something of a different nature into something else.
Right. See, this is what the Mayavadis do. They insert things that have nothing to do with Krishna, but they claim this is really Krishna, right? So they say that the Lord is contaminated by a material body when he accepts forms of incarnation. This sort of interpolation is completely denied herein by the explanation that the Lord's position is pure and unalloyed in all circumstances. That's with the absolute truth. It's true in all circumstances, in all time, past, present, and future. It is never less than the absolute truth. all the time. According to Mayavad philosophy, the spirit's soul, when covered by nescience, is designated as a jiva. But when freed from such ignorance or nescience, he merges in the impersonal existence of the absolute truth. But here it is said that the Lord is eternally the symbol of full and perfect knowledge. This is his speciality. In other words, the Lord can never become conditioned by material ignorance, right? The jivas, you and me, we have a tendency to be covered by ignorance. That means it's something that we do very easily, right? Or very often. Just like every day kids go to school and their tendency to be covered, their knowledge is covered by ignorance, is taking place. They go to school and they get lies every day, and they try to tell the kid these lies are scientific facts, right? So that is outright lying. There's nothing scientific about we come from monkeys. It all started by a big bang. There's gender neutrality. There's critical race theory, and so forth. You know, and white people are evil, and only black lives matter, and blah blah blah. It's unending. All the lies that they receive in the so-called schools. They're not schools. They are pools, cesspools. It's not a school. It's a cesspool where people learn the material conception of life. It's not only in schools. It's in the movies. It's in the books. It's on the television. It's on the internet. It's everywhere. We're being fed lies, things that are not true, as if they're scientific, as if they are perfect knowledge. So therefore it says, this is his speciality, perpetual freedom from all material contaminations. This distinguishes the Lord from the individual common living entities who have the aptitude for being subordinated by ignorance or nescience and thus becoming materially designated. Whoa! That's exactly like you have the white supremacists. So they're materially designated by lies, right? And you have black supremacists. They're also materially designated. Just like when I was a kid, our church was in a predominantly black neighborhood, and we'd have to go there, and my auntie would take me, and we'd have to take a train. We had to take a trolley, then we'd have to take a subway. We had to wait. So one day I was waiting to go home waiting for the trolley after having taken a subway, and a school bus stopped right in front of me, and it was full of black children. They were coming from some school, and they started taunting me. T-A-U-N-T, look that word up, taunting me. No, in other words, harassing you with negative statements. What's it say?
A remark made in order to anger,
Yeah.
wound, or provoke someone.
Yes. So they would say, hey, Whitey, white cracker, you know, you got cancer of the skin. I'm not kidding you. This happened like over 50 years ago, but I can remember it, because it really, shocked me, And they kept repeating that, and they said, God is black. He's not white. You got cancer of the skin. They're teaching that in their school. Those were black Muslims. They were teaching that in the school. And it's still going on today. They call me white cracker, and I have cancer of the skin. And in other words, they are the original people, and we are the aberration, the anomaly, the freak. So this is going on all over the place. The white people are doing it to the black people are doing it to the white people, the black people are doing it to the yellow people are doing it to the black people. It's going on all over the place. It's unending, And then and then people kill each other because of these misconceptions. So, this distinguishes the Lord from the individual common living entities who have the aptitude for being subordinated by nescience or ignorance, and thus becoming materially designated. We have the aptitude. What does that mean? That means we have an attraction to be covered by ignorance. See, look up the word aptitude. A-P-I-T-I-T-U-D-E. We have the aptitude. We have the tendency, a certain. Go ahead.
A natural ability to do something.
Keep going.
Talent.
Yeah, we're very talented at being covered by ignorance. What else does it say? Another meaning.
Suitability or fitness.
Yeah, we're attracted to it. You know, Prabhupada tells a very funny thing. He says, in Kali Yuga, if you stand in a public place and speak the truth, people will come with sticks to beat you. But if you stand in a public place and lie to the people, they'll come and say, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's true. So when Trump is giving a speech, or when Biden is, Biden says, the MAGA people, make America great again, meaning Trump people, they are the worst fanatics and worst what do you call them? The worst fanatics and extremists in the history of America. In the history of America, they're the worst of the worst, right? And then Trump, on his hand, says, "Well, the Democrats, they're sold out to the Chinese. They're ruining our country." So both of them basically are preaching hatred for one group or another group. You see, this is going on all over, on all different levels, and it's an aptitude. People are attracted, not attracted, but they have the let's say tendency to go toward these lies, and not critically think. And how do you critically think? You have to be trained in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you can critically think whether this statement is true or not. Whether what this person is saying, is it a fact or is it not a fact? Is it a half fact, a quarter fact, or no fact, right? Or is it a fact? So unless one is trained in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, why? Because there are absolutes. And the first thing that they teach you in school is there are no absolutes. Everything is relative. So once you accept that premise, then your aptitude for imbibing lies becomes very powerful, becomes overwhelming. And you thrive on hearing lies. You don't thrive on hearing the truth. When you hear the truth, you say, I don't believe that. That's all dogma. But when you hear lies, you say, that makes a lot of sense. Exactly what Prabhupada said. That in Kali Yuga, if you tell the truth, people come with sticks to beat you. But if you tell a lie, they'll say, that makes a lot of sense. I believe that. Say, okay. So then it says, this distinguishes the Lord from the individual, common living entities who have the aptitude for being subordinated, meaning lesser than or controlled by nescience, meaning ignorance, and thus becoming materially designated. In the Vedas, it is said that the Lord is Vijnanam Anandam, full of bliss and knowledge. The conditioned souls are never to be compared to him because such individual souls have the tendency to become contaminated. Although after liberation, a living entity can become one with the same quality of existence as the Lord. Notice it doesn't say he becomes one with the Lord. He becomes one with the same quality of existence. What is that? no longer influenced by the modes of material nature, no longer hankering for material desires, and so forth. There's a difference between becoming one with the Lord or becoming one with the existence of the Lord, or the culture of the Lord, the nature of the Lord. Although after liberation, a living entity can become one with the same quality of existence as the Lord, his very tendency to become contaminated, which the Lord never has, makes the individual living entity different from the Lord. So this tendency that we all have, in other words, attraction to contamination, is what differentiates us from Krishna. Now we can defeat that, we can overcome that by following strictly Krishna consciousness. But you have, whenever we're born with that attraction or tendency to go toward contamination. And we see this all the time. Just like last Sunday, I see some of our kids. I'm coming to the Sunday feast. They have a basketball and they're going toward the basketball court
Library.
near the library, right? So it's just like the Twin Towers have exploded and they're burning, and some people are going up into the Twin Towers, and other people are running down as fast as they can to get away from it. So the ones that went up, they all died. There were people going up. Some people were saying, don't worry, it's okay, the fire company's coming, they're going to put the fire out. So some people believed it, so when they went back up, and other people who understood what was going to happen, they were running as fast as they could to get away from it. So I'm coming as fast as I come to be on time for the Sunday feast, and these kids are going toward the basketball court, and bouncing the basketball as they go, right? And they're our kids. Right? So this is the tendency to be contaminated is there in everyone, right? So then it says, this tendency the Lord never has makes the individual living entity different from the Lord. In the Vedas, it is said, Sudam apapavidam. The individual Atma becomes polluted by sin, but the Lord is never contaminated by sins. Well, polluted by sins, yeah. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending against the principles of devotional service, where you can also do eating, sleeping, mating, and defending according to the principles of Krishna consciousness, or you can do eating, sleeping, mating, and defending against the principles. See, it's the same activity, but one is according to the principles of Krishna consciousness, and the other is against the principles. So we see that every day. A devotee is trying to maintain integrally a vegetarian diet, and they fast on fast days, and they avoid grains on Ekadasi, and they fast completely on Janmashtami. And they're following all these rules, right? And the other people, they are glibly eating meat and fish and eggs and all kinds of contaminated, horrible things, and they're glib about it. Look that word up, G-L-I-B.
Fluent and voluble, but insincere and shallow.
Okay, second. Fluid and voluble. Voluble?
Yeah, it said voluble, but insincere and shallow.
Yeah. Yeah, they're insincere because they're violating the rules and regulations. Does that have a second meaning?
Yeah.
Showing little forethought or preparation.
Yeah, they're not thinking about what they're doing. They're doing something.
Basically, they're talking a lot, but then there is
lacking
no sincerity.
depth and substance. Yeah.
What?
Lacking depth and substance.
Yeah. So if you're on a Sunday feast time, you're going toward the basketball court. That means, there's no substance to what you're doing. You're actually doing the opposite of what you should be doing, right? And actually, there's a indication that they're happy doing it, right? Does it say that in the third or fourth definition? They're actually happy or satisfied doing it. No? Yes?
I'm not saying that.
Okay. The Lord, so Lord is Sudam Apapavidam. The individual Atma becomes polluted by sin, but the Lord is never contaminated by sins. The Lord is compared to the powerful sun. The sun is never contaminated by anything infectious because it is so powerful. On the contrary, infected things are sterilized by the rays of the sun. Similarly, the Lord is never contaminated by sins. On the contrary, the sinful living entities become sterilized by contact with the Lord. So the Lord is so powerful, he can sterilize people who are contaminated. This means that the Lord is also all-pervading like the sun, and as such, the word pratyak is used in this verse. Nothing is excluded from the existence of the Lord's potential expansions. The Lord is within everything, and he is all-covering also, without being disturbed by the activities of the individual souls. He is therefore infinite, and the living entities are infinitesimal. So yeah, we're small, very, very small. We have some of the qualities of Krishna, but in very small quantity. And Krishna has it completely, infinitesimally, unlimitedly, these qualities. In the Vedas, it is said that only the Lord alone exists, and all others' existences depend on him. He is the generating reservoir for everyone's existential capacity. Existential is a philosophical word, and it has to do with living in the material world, the existing in the material world. Right? He is the supreme truth of all other categorical truths. He is the source of everyone's opulence, and therefore no one can equal him in opulence. So we finished the second canto, right? Do you remember this verse? See, that's why hearing is more important than reading, right? Because we read it, right? But if I asked you a question, if you were taking a test and I asked you, what does Canto 2, Chapter 6, verse 40 and 41 say? You say, huh? I don't remember reading that. In the Vedas, it is said that only the Lord alone exists, and all others' existences depend on him. He is the generating reservoir for everyone's existential capacity, his ability to exist, right? Being full of all opulences, namely wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, certainly he is the supreme person, and because he is a person, he has many personal qualities. The Mayavadi said, that's nonsense. He's not a person. He's an it, right? He's just light. You see how vicious they are, right? Only Prabhupada and the Vaishnava Acharyas are explaining the truth about who God is, and in tremendous detail. And once you learn all these things, you'll never be attracted to Maya. That's why it's so important that we learn this early in life, because we have a tendency to be attracted to Maya. We're born with that tendency, right? And I've seen this many times in myself and in others, that as soon as something sordid and disgusting is discussed, just like last night is an example of this. Last night, when I mentioned about Bill Gates, then immediately two hands came up. And I said, yes, what is the question? Can you tell us what he actually did wrong? I said, no, I'm not going to tell you right now. Why don't you wait till you get a little bit older, and then you can find out. So, they immediately became interested. They didn't ask a question about the philosophy. They asked, what did he actually do that he's such a disgusting person? This is typical. Just like one time a man was walking near his garden, and he saw a worm in a pile of stool. And he said, oh my God, this poor little worm, such a horrible situation. So he picked the worm up carefully from the stool, and he took it away and put it on some nice fresh green grass. Right? And he said, now you're in a good position. And then to his horror, he saw that the worm went right back to the stool. That is our position. We have this almost natural attraction to nonsense, right? We want to hear more about it. Oh, really? He did that? What else did he do? It's like there's no end to it, right? Okay, so the Lord is within his everything, and he is all-covering also, without being disturbed by the activities of the individual soul. Okay, so I'm not going to read all of it. We've gone over this before. It's a very long purport. All about Krishna's unique qualities. If we learn these things, and then we can explain it, other people will be amazed. How did you learn so much about God? I never heard all these things. And you have a list of them, and it's like you memorized it, So no one can speak like this about God. Yeah, there are different levels. The Imam might say a lot of things. The Christian might say a lot of things. The Jew might say a lot of things, but not to this extent. And they will reject some of the things that's enumerated here about Krishna. They'll reject it. And so, well, no, we don't. In our religion, we don't accept that. We don't believe that. Right? They always use that term. In my religion or our religion, we don't accept that. So, this is the science of Krishna. It's all over the Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's what we should really focus on, to understand Maya and the actions of Maya, understand Krishna and his uniqueness, and understand the process of how to go back to Godhead, go back to Krishna, by developing the Krishna conscious culture. So it's culture. During the Sunday feast, we should be going toward the Sunday feast to get into it with a lot of enthusiasm in order to chant, dance, and feast. So I'm going to read something. What time is it now?
7:11.
Okay, it's a lucky number. 7:11 is a very lucky number. Bingo, I win. So here's something Prabhupada wrote to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, 19th of September 1969, when the devotees were staying in John Lennon's mansion outside of London. They were staying there. And they were talking to John Lennon and Rico and this one and George Harrison and so forth, right? So he says, you write to say that you do not know what is my desire. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj has written to Prabhupada a letter and said, I don't really understand your desire, Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada said, but my desire is an open secret. In other words, it's actually, I'm talking about it all the time, basically he's saying. I simply want all over the Western countries, people may take this simple formula of chanting, dancing, and eating Krishna prasadam and be happy. That's it. That's what his desire is, right? I am simply surprised that they should not accept this simple formula and be happy themselves. Believe me, I'm surprised too. When I speak to people, it's like they're not interested. And even some of our own kids, they're not interested in this simple process, how to go back to Godhead in this lifetime. Simply chant Hare Krishna, dance enthusiastically, and eat Krishna prasadam, or Hari pizza, for example. And be happy, right? Be happy. My only desire is that all people become happy and prosperous in Krishna consciousness. My predecessors, Vaishnavas, they were so generous that they felt very much afflicted for the suffering of the human society. Sri Rupa Goswami tried to elevate them to the real path of happiness by introducing the Govinda Ganamrita, the nectarine of the songs of Govinda. That will make them happy. Now, he's talking about bhajans, chants. And if we chant these bhajans purely, we'll be happy. Okay, so we'll stop right there. Are there any questions? There's a lot more to be said about all this, but we'll save it for tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Are there any questions?
So Maharaj, the tendency to get attracted to Maya.
Yes.
That's
born
very
with
strong.
We're born with it.
We're born with it. It's
It's
extremely
called
strong.
kutam.
So obviously people know that is truth at some point.
No, they don't know it.
I mean, let's say we hear the classes and
Yeah.
some of us maybe connect with it, but then the tendency can pull you back. So
Well, if you don't associate with devotees regularly, I mean good devotees, I mean you can associate with bad devotees also and go completely in the wrong direction. But if you associate with good devotees and you come to classes regularly, you're reminded there's constant repetition in all these books. The cause of our suffering. It's our desire to dominate some part or all material nature and exploit things for our own sense gratification. Right?
correct. So
And it's stemming from envy of Krishna, which is the reason why we're here. We somehow or other became envious of Krishna in the spiritual world, and then we immediately fall down. And then you're given a chance, we're all given a chance to go back to Godhead, but you're also given a chance to try and pursue your hankerings for material domination and sense gratification. But it's going to be a failure, guaranteed, because no one can overcome the material nature. Go ahead.
So I think you just articulated that the only way to overcome that tendency is regular association with pure devotees and
Regularly being reminded, because we regularly forget. Our disease is forgetfulness. So we have to be regularly reminded until it enters the noodle inside. Right? But even we agree with it, still we should be reminded, right? And that's what Prabhupada's doing here. He's approaching this subject 360 degrees, right? It's not just in 1 degree, it's 360 degrees. And we're learning more and more about the same subject, why we're in the material world and how we can get out. Right? So it's not that he keeps repeating himself. He keeps adding more information about the same subject to the point where you get your PhD. Right? And then
so that regular hearing is a mandatory thing.
mandatory thing. Mandatory thing. And reading, but you can understand that you read something, it doesn't mean you'll retain it for the rest of your life, because our disease in Kali Yuga is we're forgetful. We can forget very easily. Right? Or scramble things also in the mind.
Okay.
And we're all born with this tendency of attraction to Maya.
Yeah, and another way that Maya works on us is after hearing a little bit, thinking that we already know.
That's another way. Yes. It's a dangerous world, Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj. Very good.
Any other questions? Okay, no questions? That's good, because I have to get ready to go to this festival. I have to be there at 9 o'clock. So, Haribol, Haribol. And then I have to rush from the festival to Sankirtan. Whoa. I don't even think I'm going to have time to eat today until tonight. But that's good. I want to do nonsense, but I don't have time to do nonsense. That should be our schedule. Even though we have hankerings to do nonsense, there's no time for it. Okay, so if anyone did homework, you can read the homework tomorrow. Did we have homework for today? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's the various misconceptions you wanted us to document.
Yes. Yeah, I have here 13 of them.
Today you might have mentioned one more, is that there are no absolutes.
Yes. Yes.
The teaching that there are no absolutes, because that is the fundamental way to break.
Everything is relative. Haribo. I don't have to lift weights, just carry the books.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhagati Sadma Bandhamui Savadana Mate Jahara Prasade Bhai He Bhava Toriya Jai Krishna prapti ho jaha hote Guru mukha padma vakya chitete koriya kya Arana koriyo mane asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Utama Gati Jai Prasade Pure Sarvasha Jai Prasade Pure Sarvasha Chakshudan dilo जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से, चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से, दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित, प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते, प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते, वेद गाय जहाँ रचरितो, श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु, श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु, लोकाना लोकेर जीवाना, हा हा प्रभु कोरो दोया देह मोरे पादचया, हा हा प्रभु कोरो दोया देह मोरे पादचया, एबे जास कुशुक त्रिभुवाना, जय प्रभुपाद पतिता पावाना, जय प्रभुपादा, जय प्रभुपादा, जय प्रभुपादा, जय प्रभुपादा, नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले, श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमः। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे, निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे, जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद, जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद, निताय गौर हरि बो हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बो